Have you ever found yourself, wrestling with a persistent problem? Maybe a feeling of unease or a deep sadness, even just that nagging sense of loneliness. And your very first instinct, almost automatically, was to look outside of yourself for some kind of solution.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common human response, isn't it?
It really is. We think, okay, if I just get a new job, then everything will fall into place. Or
a big trip. That's what I need. Change the scenery, maybe even move to a different city.
Exactly. Or a new car, maybe a different relationship, just change something out there.
Right. Believing that altering the external circumstances will somehow magically fix what's going on inside.
It's this immediate urge. It feels almost programmed into us.
It does.
So let's really dig into this idea today, because we're embarking on a deep dive into, well, what feels like an incredibly intriguing and maybe even a profoundly challenging perspective. That our default approach, the way we usually go about finding happiness or peace or just true equilibrium, it might actually be fundamentally misguided.
Looking in the wrong place, essentially.
Yeah. Our mission in this deep dive is to explore a really powerful philosophical viewpoint on where genuine well-being actually comes from and why, maybe for too long, we've been looking, like you said, in all the wrong places.
And it's truly fascinating, isn't it? How wisdom from, well, sometimes ancient sources can speak so directly and powerfully to our modern struggles, even though the external world was vastly different back then.
Absolutely. So what's our source material for this exploration?
Our primary source for this deep dive is drawn from excerpts of a really captivating YouTube video. It's titled Felicidad no está fora, Filosofía sobre vida interior.
Which translates to
Happiness is not outside, philosophy on inner life. It's from the NOVA ACRÓPOLE Brazil channel.
Okay.
And it offers this really rich tapestry of profound insights into the very nature of human well-being. It really challenges our common assumptions about what makes us happy, what makes us feel stable.
So it's not just theory then?
No, not at all. It feels more like a practical framework for understanding our own internal landscape.
Okay, and for you, our listener, get ready for maybe some genuine aha moments. Because this could fundamentally shift how you approach your own personal challenges and, your pursuit of a balanced, genuinely happy life.
It's about questioning that automatic outward glance.
Exactly. We're going to uncover why constantly trying to change your external world to fix an internal problem. Well, it might be a lot like changing the reflection in a mirror instead of actually looking at and maybe changing the source itself.
A powerful image.
It is, isn't it? And I think it resonates deeply with so many of us who are just striving for more peace, more resilience in our lives today.
Definitely.
So let's start by digging a bit deeper into that initial tendency, that almost universal human impulse. When we face internal problems, sadness, depression, loneliness, whatever it may be.
That discomfort.
Right. Our immediate mental leap is almost always outward. We instinctively think about changing things outside of ourselves.
It's immediate, yeah. Almost automatic, like you said.
Isn't it? We get caught in that loop of, okay, I'll be truly happy when I finally get that promotion. Or
if only my partner would change this one thing. Or once I move to that perfect city, then I'll find my peace.
Yes. We keep postponing our happiness, linking it completely to some future external event or something we acquire.
It's like we've been conditioned, almost programmed, to believe our environment is the primary driver of our inner state.
And that if we can just tweak the variables out there,
then everything inside will magically align.
Which leads perfectly into this really powerful analogy that our source material uses. It's quite striking.
The mirror analogy.
Yes. It suggests that this way of thinking is, quote, a bit curious, because it's truly as if a teenager didn't like their pimples and changed the mirror.
Okay, wow. That's blunt.
It is. But think about it for a second. If you don't like your face, as the source says, the fault is not the mirror.
Right. The mirror is just reflecting what is. It's neutral.
Exactly. So the solution isn't to buy a new mirror or smash the old one or, avoid reflections altogether.
No, because the source wisely points out something has to be changed in the face itself.
And that's not just physical, is it? It's such a profound statement about causality in our emotional lives.
It really is. That metaphor is incredibly profound because it just forces you immediately to question the very foundation of how we usually try to solve our problems. We're constantly trying to alter the reflection of external circumstances, our environment, the people around us.
Trying to polish the mirror, essentially.
Exactly. In an effort to fix the source of the issue, which according to this view, resides squarely within our own internal state.
It's like trying to solve a complicated math problem by just changing the answer you see at the end without ever touching the original equation.
That's a great way to put it. It's this perpetual, often exhausting, and ultimately, well, futile cycle, because the external world is just showing us what we're projecting or maybe how we're responding from within.
So it highlights this fundamental misunderstanding of where control really lies.
Precisely. We're attacking symptoms, trying to change the reflection, rather than looking at the root cause, the face in the mirror. And that, as the analogy brilliantly shows, is just a recipe for frustration.
That mirror analogy really does hit home, doesn't it? It makes you think back on all those times you've tried to change the mirror in your own life.
Well done it.
And to really underline just how futile these external solutions can often be, our source shares this truly memorable anecdote. It brings the abstract concept right down to earth.
Ah, the psychiatrist story.
Yes. The speaker talks about a friend of theirs, a psychiatrist, who attended a large number of depressed people.
Okay.
And the psychiatrist often noticed this very strong insistence from the family for these people to travel.
Yes, the get away from it all advice.
Right. The families meant well, insisting a change of scenery will do them good, it'll lift their spirits, they just need to get away.
It sounds like a reasonable suggestion on the surface.
It does. But the psychiatrist, with this blunt, almost humorous, yet deeply insightful response, would apparently say, look, if a depressed person is going to travel, take the psychiatrist along because at least one of them will have fun.
Wow. That's memorable. And kind of darkly funny.
It is, but it's not just a cynical quip, is it? It's such a profound distillation of the idea that we simply can't outrun ourselves.
No, you really can't.
Yeah.
We've all heard that advice, maybe even given just get away for a bit.
And the assumption underneath is that a new environment will somehow magically reset our internal state, like flipping a switch.
But the core truth, the one the psychiatrist pointed out so sharply, is that you can change your location, your view, your climate.
Yeah.
You can travel across the entire globe.
But you ultimately take yourself with you.
Exactly. Your internal landscape, the way you perceive things, the way you react to things, that remains unchanged, regardless of the beautiful backdrop.
It really brings to mind that old saying, wherever you go, there you are. And this specific example just perfectly illustrates how external changes often completely fail to address the internal root of our struggles.
Precisely. The anecdote brilliantly shows why travel, or any external change really, often doesn't work as a cure-all for internal struggles. As the source explains it, it doesn't help at all because you will take with you what you have as an internal factor,
Which is
your response to the environment. The environment itself might shift dramatically, It's a stunning mountain range, a bustling new city.
new sights, new sounds, new experiences.
Right. But as the source emphasizes, the environment will change, but your response remains the same.
So if that internal response is one of sadness or anxiety or feeling disconnected,
Then that's what you'll continue to experience, just maybe with a nicer view. It's like bringing your own personal weather system with you, no matter what climate you enter.
that's a great image. Your own weather system.
And this highlights a really critical concept from the source. This idea of an internal void that nothing and no one from the outside can fill.
An internal void. What does that mean exactly?
Well, it suggests this fundamental disconnect between our genuine internal needs, maybe for meaning, purpose, self-understanding, connection, and the external things we chase to try and satisfy them.
Like possessions or approval or fleeting pleasures.
Exactly. This internal void isn't necessarily a lack of something external, but perhaps a misdirected hunger. Many philosophical traditions would say it's this innate craving for something deeper.
Something that requires internal nourishment.
Precisely, because external sources just aren't designed to satisfy that kind of hunger. That void, if you want to call it that, can only really be addressed by cultivating something within.
Which then raises the big question, doesn't it? What exactly is that internal factor, that core response to the environment? And how do we even begin to understand it, let alone, maybe transform it?
Well, to truly grasp why this internal focus is so vital, we need to shift our perspective a bit and look at the fundamental nature of the world itself.
Okay.
Our source highlights that circumstances will always be mutable and unpredictable.
Mutable and unpredictable, so always changing.
Always changing. And this isn't just presented as a casual observation.
Right.
It's introduced as the law of the manifested world.
The law of the manifested world, that sounds quite profound. What does that entail?
It draws from many ancient philosophical traditions, suggesting that the very fabric of the reality we can perceive, the manifested world, is inherently characterized by change, by cycles, by the constant interplay of opposites.
So it's not just random change, but a kind of fundamental principle, like an operating system for reality.
That's a good way to think about it, yeah. The source elaborates on this with the concept of duality and multiplicity. It states, as long as there is hot, there will be cold. As long as there is soft, there will be resistant, high, low.
The classic opposites.
Right. But it's not just about these simple physical opposites existing side by side. It's about the constant interplay, the inherent tension, the ceaseless oscillation between these poles that actually defines life.
You can see that in emotions too, can't you? Joy and sadness, excitement and calm.
Exactly. Periods of intense joy often seem to set the stage for moments of quiet reflection, maybe even melancholy. The satisfaction of achieving something can quickly be followed by a new challenge, or even a strange sense of emptiness.
So the insight isn't just that opposites exist.
No, it's that they are inseparable parts of the same whole. They depend on each other.
Right.
To try and resist one pole, say, to only ever want hot or high or happy, is essentially to resist reality itself.
So true equilibrium isn't found by eliminating the cold or the low.
According to this view, no. It's found by developing an internal stance, an inner stability, that can embrace the entire cycle. Understanding this means recognizing that seeking static, unchanging happiness in a world that is fundamentally dynamic.
Well, it's like asking a river to stop flowing. It goes against its basic nature.
So the external world isn't broken when it changes or presents challenges?
It's simply being what it is. Our expectations are often what contradict this basic law. The very fabric of existence, as the source describes it, is one of constant flux, this inherent instability that we often try so hard to deny or control. And this isn't some, abstract philosophical idea that doesn't affect us. It plays out in our daily lives constantly, sometimes in really surprising or even jarring ways.
All the time.
Our source really reinforces this idea of unpredictability beautifully. It says, you don't know what will be on the other side of your door tomorrow, and perhaps even before that. We don't know.
It's true. Think about it. Despite all our plans, our calendars, our forecasts, our routines,
Life threw his curveball.
constantly, a sudden illness, an unexpected opportunity, a global event that shifts everything overnight, your car breaking down on the way to something important.
Little things and big things, they're all reminders of how vulnerable we are to the unknown.
Absolutely. In modern life, we often chase this illusion of control, don't we? We build these elaborate systems to try and predict and manage every single variable.
We try to minimize risk, optimize everything, predict the future.
Yet so much remains resolutely beyond our grasp. A single phone call, a chance meeting, even just, a sudden change in the weather can completely alter our plans and our emotional state.
So what does this all mean for us? For the planners, the controllers, the people who really like to have things figured out.
Well, it means that if we are constantly relying on external circumstances staying stable to maintain our own well-being,
we're setting ourselves up for a fall.
pretty much, we're setting ourselves up for a perpetual emotional roller coaster. Because the world simply isn't designed to be a static, predictable, safe haven. It's a dynamic, ever-changing stage. That's its nature.
Okay, so that's the critical link then. If we try to depend on circumstances for our happiness.
Then, as the source puts it rather starkly, we are lost because circumstances will never be homogeneous. They will vary, they will oscillate. This is the law of life.
It's a harsh truth, but an essential one.
It really is. Trying to find lasting peace in an inherently changeable external world is, like trying to build a castle on shifting sands. Any stability we get from external factors is, by its very definition, temporary, is precarious.
You see it everywhere. Technology changes, the economy fluctuates, even our own energy levels shift with the seasons.
Exactly. This constant flux isn't a problem we need to fix. It's a fundamental truth we need to accept, or at least work with. The profound takeaway here is, if you build your happiness on things that always change, your happiness will always change.
It's like trying to stand perfectly still on a rocking boat.
That's it. You need an inner anchor. You need balance from within.
So this understanding that the external world is always moving, always shifting, it doesn't just clarify why our external fixes often fail us.
No, it also sets the stage perfectly for the next logical step in this whole inquiry.
Which is?
If external reality is always changing, always fluctuating, then true stability, true happiness, genuine resilience must originate somewhere else.
Somewhere that isn't subject to those same laws of duality and oscillation.
Precisely. Which raises that vital question. How on earth can we build a stable internal world when the external world is anything but stable?
And that leads us directly to the power of our internal response.
The one thing we actually have some measure of control over.
Okay, so if the external world is constantly shifting and our happiness can't reliably depend on it staying the same, then the big question becomes, what would true human happiness actually look like? What is genuine human equilibrium? What is that capacity to not depend on circumstances, just to feel okay, to be well?
That's the core question.
And this capacity, this internal strength, this resilience, it's precisely what we must cultivate, not in spite of the changing circumstances.
But because of them. Because they will always change.
Right. It's about developing this internal capacity to respond to circumstances that doesn't destabilize us. Something that guarantees, or at least supports, our state of peace, our happiness, our emotional equilibrium.
And it's crucial to understand this isn't about somehow avoiding challenges or wishing problems would just disappear. That's not realistic.
No, it's more about building a robust inner world, isn't it?
Yeah.
One that can meet whatever life throws its way without completely crumbling.
Yes. Maintaining a core sense of balance regardless of the external weather.
Like being the calm eye in the center of the storm, rather than being constantly tossed about by the winds.
That's a great way to put it. Think of a ship navigating really rough seas. Its stability doesn't come from the ocean suddenly becoming calm.
It comes from its own strong keel and the skilled hand on the rudder.
Exactly. Our internal capacity is that keel and rudder for navigating our lives.
And our source actually points to a specific modern struggle that really highlights our current, maybe collective lack of this internal capacity.
Ah, yes, the difficulty with certain emotions.
Exactly. It says, one of the most difficult things we have at the present moment, for example, is a total incapacity to deal with certain feelings, certain emotional reactions, such as fear.
We live in a world that often encourages us, doesn't it, to avoid discomfort, to numb our feelings, distract ourselves from anything unpleasant.
We're sort of taught to chase comfort and run from pain.
But that strategy ultimately leaves us really ill-equipped to face fundamental human emotions like fear head-on. We try to intellectualize it away or suppress it,
rather than learning how to actually deal with it, to sit with it, to understand it.
And this inability to cope leads directly to a really fascinating and, frankly, dangerous phenomenon that the source identifies: panic.
Panic. Not just fear, but panic.
Right. And the source offers this incredibly powerful insight. It states, we fall into panic, which is the fear of having fear. Have you noticed this?
The fear of having fear. Wow.
When the sensation of fear manifests, we lose control. Panic is the fear of having fear. That's a really powerful distinction.
It is. So it's not just the initial, maybe primal fear of some threat that's the biggest problem.
Often, no. It's the secondary reaction. It's the fear of that feeling of fear itself. That's what compounds the original emotion, spirals out of control, and ultimately leads to a complete loss of composure, of rational thought.
It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. The anxiety about feeling anxious becomes more debilitating than whatever triggered it in the first place.
Precisely. Psychologically, we stop reacting just to the external threat, and we start reacting violently to our own internal emotional response, amplifying it exponentially.
And to illustrate this really vividly, the source gives a pretty chilling example.
The public spectacle example?
Yeah. It says, you will see that in public spectacles where some accident occurs, more people sometimes die trampled than burned or intoxicated.
That's a stark image. It really makes you think.
It's a testament to how the response to fear, that irrational, overwhelming panic, the herd mentality that can just take over,
It can be far more dangerous and destructive than the initial threat itself. People lose their individual capacity to think, to react rationally. They become part of this chaotic, sometimes self-destructive, collective reaction.
So it's not the fire or the smoke that kills them in that scenario.
It's the frantic, uncontrolled fear reaction. It powerfully shows us that our greatest danger often isn't the external event, but our own internal reaction to it.
Which raises that crucial question again for each of us, doesn't it? How do we reclaim control over our own emotional responses, especially something as primal as fear, so we don't become victims of our own internal reactions?
Exactly. How do we build that inner resilience?
And to really solidify this idea that happiness is genuinely independent of our external circumstances, Our source invites us to take a step back and consider a compelling historical perspective.
Right, looking at the broader sweep of human history.
It reminds us that throughout the history of humanity, we have had many very differentiated forms of life. It sort of encourages us to put our modern conveniences, the things we think are essential, into a much wider context.
To question what essential really means for well-being.
Yeah. Imagine this, the source suggests. Most of humanity's history, for example, we did not have electricity.
Just pause on that for a moment. Truly picture it. No constant power hum, no flicking a switch for instant light.
No internet, no fridge, no streetlights, no way to charge our phones.
And now contrast that with today. As the source says, when we lack light one day at home, we are left with our feet and hands tied.
A simple power outage throws our lives into complete disarray. We feel helpless, massively inconvenienced. I panic if my phone battery gets low, feeling totally cut off.
It really does put that daily panic into perspective, doesn't it? How reliant we've become on these external comforts.
Absolutely. But in the past, as the source describes it, there was no electricity. You walked with a candle through the house in absolute darkness, and everyone had to manage like that.
Just part of life.
And crucially, and many people were happy like that. And it wasn't just electricity, right? The source notes, we didn't have many of the conveniences we have today, and also many of the risks. People cooked over open fires, hauled water, traveled incredibly slowly, communicated painstakingly.
Lives shaped by natural rhythms, not artificial light and instant everything.
And yet the core message here, the really vital takeaway, is that there were people who, regardless of the circumstances, remained human and were happy.
That historical lens serves as powerful proof, doesn't it? That happiness isn't just a byproduct of material comfort or fancy technology.
Nor is it dependent on having a perfectly predictable, curated external world. It shows that the human spirit has this incredible capacity for contentment, even in conditions we'd now consider profoundly challenging.
This historical perspective just beautifully illustrates that true happiness, true equilibrium, true human stability, it doesn't, and really cannot, come solely from circumstances.
Because if it did,
then, as the source states so clearly, we are lost because circumstances will never be homogeneous. They will vary, they will oscillate. This is the law of life.
So the story of humanity's past, finding contentment in such different, often difficult conditions.
It profoundly underscores the idea that our internal state really is the primary determinant of our well-being. It's a testament to the adaptive, resilient nature of the human spirit when it taps into those inner resources.
It shows that this internal capacity for peace and happiness isn't just some nice theory.
No, it's a historically proven reality. It reminds us that we possess this inherent power to find stability, even joy, regardless of what the external world throws at us. And that understanding can be incredibly freeing. It stops the futile chase after perfect external conditions.
Okay, so if relying purely on external circumstances is basically a losing game, and history clearly shows us that inner resilience is profoundly possible, then the conclusion seems pretty clear.
Which is?
We would have to find a way to guarantee ourselves, to build ourselves from the inside out.
Shifting the focus inward.
Right. But this isn't about ignoring the world, is it? Or becoming totally indifferent to what happens outside?
No, not at all. It's more about fundamentally reorienting our focus, shifting it away from the constantly shifting sands of the outside world towards the solid ground we can actually cultivate within ourselves.
But, okay, what does that really mean, building ourselves from the inside out? How do we actually do that in a practical way, especially when so much of modern life pulls us in the opposite direction?
That's the key question, isn't it? It sounds good, it sounds noble, but what's the actual path? How do we start?
Yeah.
Well, our source points us towards a really time-honored human trajectory, a path that has guided thinkers and seekers for millennia. It doesn't offer quick fixes, but it does offer a sustained journey.
And what is that path?
That path, the established human trajectory for cultivating this kind of inner stability, is philosophy.
Philosophy. Yeah.
Our source describes it as this journey from ignorance towards wisdom, and crucially, in the middle of the path, the love of wisdom, which is philosophy.
So philosophy isn't just an academic subject then, like dusty books and complicated arguments?
Well, it's certainly part of its heritage, but the way it's presented here is much more active, much more alive. It's an active pursuit, a dedication to understanding, a continuous striving for greater insight and self-knowledge that ideally permeates every aspect of your life.
So it's a practical thing, something deeply integrated into how you live and respond.
That's the idea. And what's really fascinating is how it's presented not as a destination like, here's a fixed set of answers you just memorize and apply.
Right, not a doctrine.
Exactly. It's presented as the very journey itself.
Yeah.
It's the ongoing process of actively engaging with those big fundamental questions of existence, seeking understanding, constantly refining one's internal landscape.
Like an ongoing internal construction project, or tending an inner garden.
I like that, tending an inner garden. It's this disciplined, lifelong effort to move away from ignorance towards wisdom, driven by a real, deep, abiding love for that wisdom. It acknowledges the work is never truly finished, but the process of striving itself is what builds the resilience.
That makes it feel much more accessible, doesn't it? It brings philosophy down to earth, not just for academics, but for anyone who's seeking a more grounded, meaningful life.
Exactly. And the source directly tackles a common misconception about what it means to be a philosopher, or even just someone trying to walk this path.
Right.
It says, if you turn to me and ask, have you already conquered this? I will say, no, but I'm fighting.
Okay, so it's not about perfection.
Not at all. This is crucial. It clarifies very pointedly that a philosopher is not perfect. It's not about achieving some flawless, enlightened state where problems vanish and you never feel fear or sadness again.
It's about the effort then, the direction, the commitment to doing that inner work.
Precisely. That brings the human element right into the heart of the philosophical journey. The real differentiator of a philosopher, according to our source, isn't perfection, but that they have a goal of wisdom and do not give up on walking towards it.
So it's not about having all the answers ready-made.
No, because life's too complex and unpredictable for that. Instead, it's about simply knowing where we want to get to. It's about having that internal compass, that clear direction, that guiding star of wisdom, even when the path feels rocky or unclear, or you seem to be going backwards sometimes.
It's that dedication to the journey, that unwavering resolve that provides the stability.
Yes. Even amidst all the imperfection and the inevitable setbacks. It's the conviction in the value of the path itself that gives you the strength to persevere.
And this philosophical attitude, this commitment to the goal of wisdom, that's what makes us fall 1,000 times and get up 1,001 and know how to keep walking.
It embodies the very essence of resilience, doesn't it? Turning every stumble into a potential lesson, every failure into fuel for the next attempt.
It acknowledges that setbacks are just part of the process. Mistakes will happen, emotions will sometimes overwhelm us.
But the overall trajectory, the aim towards inner improvement and understanding, remains firm. So what does this mean for you, the listener, navigating your own unique path?
It means you don't have to be an academic scholar to embrace this. It's more about cultivating a philosophical attitude towards your own life.
An attitude of constant learning, striving, conscious reflection.
And that quiet determination to just keep getting back up, keep walking towards that goal of inner wisdom and stability, being a student of your own inner world.
Exactly. And this unwavering commitment is what the source beautifully describes as the spirit of improvement. In the original Portuguese, it's ânimo de aperfeiçoamento.
It's a spirit of improvement. I like that.
And it's not about chasing some kind of external perfection or constantly comparing yourself to some unattainable ideal.
What is it about them?
It's about a continuous internal striving for self-mastery, an ongoing process of refining your internal capacities, your emotional responses, your understanding of the world, and your place in it.
So it's the active, persistent work of strengthening that internal ability to respond to life's changing circumstances.
Yes, making our inner world more robust, less easily swayed by the shifting sands of external events. It's about taking responsibility for cultivating our inner garden, like you said.
That really feels like the differential of philosophy, then. It doesn't offer a magic pill.
No, but it gives us a clear, meaningful goal wisdom, inner equilibrium, and maybe more importantly, it fosters that enduring spirit, that animo, to keep pursuing it day in and day out.
Recognizing it's a lifelong journey, not a destination.
Exactly. With no final finish line, just continuous growth and hopefully deepening understanding. And you can apply this spirit of improvement in very practical ways in your daily life.
How so?
Maybe by consciously pausing to observe your emotional reactions before you respond impulsively. Or dedicating just a little time each day for reflection. Or maybe engaging with ideas like these that challenge and expand your understanding.
It's that constant, maybe gentle striving for self-mastery that acts as the antidote to the external chaos.
I think so. And the source reminds us very reassuringly of the universal nature of this whole pursuit. It concludes with a thought. So all of us are seeking this, including myself.
Ah, that's important. It normalizes the struggle.
It really does. It emphasizes that this is a shared human endeavor. Even those guiding us, like the speaker in the video, are on the same continuous path of inner discovery and development, fostering resilience one conscious step at a time.
And so we bring our deep dive to a close. We've circled back to where we started, but hopefully with a much richer, deeper understanding of ourselves and maybe how we relate to the world. We've journeyed from that common, often frustrating trap of always seeking external fixes for our internal discomfort.
Changing the mirror.
Right. To the profound realization that true happiness, real equilibrium, genuine resilience, these have to be built, cultivated from within. We explored why changing that mirror won't fix the face, and why you always take your inner world with you no matter how far you travel.
The external will always change. That's a given.
But our internal response, that's the one thing we can truly work on, cultivate, and refine over time.
We discovered that life circumstances are always going to be this dance of unpredictability, this constant oscillation, hot and cold, high and low, good times and bad times.
And that this isn't some flaw in the system we need to fix.
No, it's the law of the manifested world. It's the nature of existence.
And precisely because of this inherent changeability, our peace can't depend on things outside staying the same. It has to arise from an internal capacity.
An ability to respond, to adapt, and to find stability, even when things feel chaotic externally.
It really is a call to turn inward, isn't it? To become the architect of our own inner peace.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, hopefully this deep dive feels like more than just abstract philosophy. We hope it feels like a practical blueprint, maybe a foundational understanding for navigating this complex and unpredictable world we all live in.
It's about gaining that internal capacity to respond to circumstances that doesn't destabilize us.
Something that genuinely supports your state of peace, your happiness, your emotional equilibrium, regardless of what's happening outside. This understanding, well, it offers a powerful path toward personal freedom and hopefully a more lasting peace.
It frees us from that endless, exhausting chase of external solutions that never quite satisfy.
Exactly. It empowers us to start building that sanctuary within ourselves, a place where true well-being can reside, unburdened by the shifting tides of the outer world.
So, considering this law of the manifested world, this constant duality and change, I want to leave you with a thought to ponder this week.
Okay.
What one small internal toggle, maybe a thought pattern, an assumption, a habitual reaction might you begin to explore or gently adjust starting today? How could you shift your response to an inevitable external change rather than just wishing the change itself would go away?
A small internal shift in response.
Yeah, because perhaps the deepest, most rewarding dive we can ever take is not into the vast world around us, but into the profound capacity we already hold right here within ourselves. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.